Okay, so as you can see by the title of this video, things that I've learned to get me ready for next year. And there is quite a bit to cover, and I would like to talk about those things and what I have most certainly have learned from those things. And it's going to be with three things. The first one, I really don't know if it fits into this, but I believe it is necessary for people to really watch this and to help spread awareness, because what I'm about to share with this first part, I have shared it so many times. I have talked about it for so long, on both of my channels. But I feel like it's needed because it needs to be spreaded. The awareness of that needs to be spreaded. And we have to save more people right now that go through this, because you have so many kids that suffer through this, and even going into their adult-like years. What that is having somebody who is special needs, and there are many different levels to special needs. You can't be thinking that it's all the same, because I understand there's a lot of the common out there, but that's also very, very stereotyped as well. So because it's so much stereotype when it comes to disabilities and special needs, if you know somebody that is living with an overseer, and if you know that overseer makes a good job, makes good money, but yet somebody who they with who was hurting for money, if you see them looking miserable, and if you hear about the overseer, he's helped me pay the bills, pay the rent, that means they are stealing the person who they supposed to be looking out for their money. That's what that means. Because people who are on SSID get practically free money, and the pay ranges, believe it or not, when it comes to people on SSID do make more than people at jobs, especially throughout the years total, right? 500 a month. Sometimes people may get 500 every 2 weeks. Then from there, you're looking at maybe $535 every month, almost 2 weeks. But again, it depends on the level of the person receiving it, and even that is more than somebody that works, even when it adds up to it every year, to how much a total they make a year. Then it goes up, 800, then to like 850, and then $12,000, believe it or not. So that right there is in terms of making a lot of money, with their money being took from them, because they're overseas. They're gonna put it towards vehicles, they're gonna put it towards clothes, bags, and every time you wonder, oh man, they got a new car, they got a new bag, they got like some new clothes, or like a new phone, it's because they taking the person who they supposed to be taking care of their money, and that money's supposed to go towards medical, at least that. Yes, maybe something that they may want, but they can't get that because the person's taking their money. And especially when it comes to rent, because that's going to be the most thing that's going to be said to cover it up. And you know somebody's going to be bullshit when they say that, because you know they make enough money to cover their own. You know, I talked about this before in the first beginning video of my thoughts on the second stimulus check. When it comes to different jobs and different pays, well, you know, I was a victim of that. You know, I talked about that so much, you know, how I was a victim of that because I was being charged rent. Yeah, me. And if you have somebody that is special needs, special disabilities, and you're the overseers and you make enough money to where you ain't got to be charging them rent, but you do anyways, you know, that is scamming. That is going underneath the RICO statute of limitations. And that also is stealing money as well. Because it is illegal and against the law to charge somebody rent who has special needs on disability if you are their overseer and they're living with you. But if that person is eligible enough, right, to live on their own, to manage their own a little bit, and if they have, you know, they got places for people with disabilities that can pay rent, even far as, you know, government housing for like 500 and below, then they have somebody who they can pay rent to who is eligible to charge them rent. Because if you're impersonating a landlord, you are impersonating a government official worker, and that is prison time, believe it or not. That is prison time. So, you know, that's one thing, you know, that I have learned, you know, with what was happening, you know, to me, with me. You know, the second thing that I have, you know, most certainly learned, man, when it comes to, you know, housing. You know, housing at that, you know, I was paying for the house where I'm at now because it's obvious, you know, I was making way more money. I didn't even know because I never saw none of the money. But if you're somebody that's working, and if you're only making like what, between like what, $400, $500, if sometimes almost to $800 depending, you gotta understand something. You're only making enough for rent every month. You know, your average payments out here are no more than $563 every 2 weeks for a job. That's no more than, you know, you ain't getting no more than that. You know, and again, you know, I do talk about, you know, again, you know, like where the jobs are going to pay more, like I talked about before. But your average jobs, everyday jobs, are no more than the $563. So you only making enough money to do what? To pay your rent. Now you may not be paying the full $500, so you definitely gonna be paying, you know, the $450 at most, if not that. Paying your phone, that's really it. Now, a lot of people want and like to get overtime when they work, right? A lot of people, man, I need that overtime. I need that overtime. I get it. You know, overtime you want to get to make your car payment. But just because you work in a job doesn't mean, oh, I'm automatically making bank to go out and get a nice apartment. I'm not, you know, it doesn't mean, oh man, I'm working. It doesn't mean you're still going to be automatically making bank to go out and get a house, man, because there are requirements to that. There are heavy requirements to get in a house. There are heavy requirements that you got to meet to get a nice apartment, man. But if you are making the average of $563, guess what? You have enough affordable apartment. Apartment is at least what, $360 at the most. By what I mean, the average of an apartment, you're looking at free, you're looking at the free government housings that are below Section 8 if you want to save some money. You're looking at government housing with the $350, right? That's it. You're lucky enough if you can find a decent apartment, again, within that $500 range, and putting towards $450 for it. But you may be able to afford a trailer at the most, right? Your trailers, are going to be definitely around in that 300 range. Are going to most definitely be around that 300 range. Okay, which means, guess what? You have enough to put down maybe for a car payment, $100 a month, right? Because they're able to work with you depending on what your paycheck is, and to pay for your phone. At that, if you can't get a trailer, they got government housing that's like duplexes a little bit. They're not big, they are very small. You got like 2-ish bedrooms, 1 bathroom, half a living room, and a very small kitchen. And there ain't much space in them at all. Well, those, go into, the 300 mark every month. And if that's what you have to do to definitely, stay in, to build up enough money, to build up bank in order to get a nice apartment, go for it. Understand it will take time. If you make a steady, decent job, right? If you make a steady, decent job, like the nursing stuff, I recommend, just get a nice apartment. Don't worry about trying to get a house, because, again, there are just so much more requirements to a house, and you got to make so many payments, such as the house payment, the mortgage. You yourself have to do maintenance on that house. It gets very pricey. It is not in the best economy right now at all to go out and start saying, man, I'm going to buy a house. No. If you are not financially straightforward, don't go buy a house. And that's one thing that I have learned. Again, understand something. I was paying for this damn house, man, out of my money, because I was being fucking used. They had me even lie so many times to the Human Services Office just to get more money, which was put me in messed up positions, because I found myself again in and out of the hospitals, hurting for money, not being able to make phone payments, having to sell shit just in order to survive. My overseers are very fucked up individuals. I understand in the end it did catch up to them, and they had to answer to that. Well, one thing I know for certain with my pay range, right, is only $400 a month. Which means, guess what? When I get able to move, this is what my plan most certainly is. Let me find a place that's $500, but let them be able to work with me for the $400 and something. If not that, a trailer park. Move into a trailer. That is what my affordable range is. The same thing when it comes to vehicles. I was buying, that money they were taking from me, they were buying, one thing I talked about, they're buying cars, man. Buying a fucking damn tons of vehicles. And let me tell you guys something, man. If you're making a decent job and you can't afford a nice car, don't worry about it. You're going to have to get a beat-it up one. You're going to have to get one that's not so good. But you know what? You ain't got to worry about making payments on it a lot, because you're going to save money by doing that. And by doing that, then yes, within 2 years, maybe 5 years at the most, realistically it will be 5, then you will be able to get you a nice car. Like this Bumblebee Camaro I'm looking at with the Transformers on it. That's a nice car. Well, they have a good paying job where they can afford that car. Reality of somebody's situation, what I'm talking about, will only be able to afford that van or the car next to it, which is like a grandma car that I call it. That's it. And within 2 years, you have that pretty much paid off. You own it. What I recommend for somebody in that condition of what I'm talking about, lease the car. Have it for a month. Lease it. After that month's over with, depending on how good you take care of it, they'll give you another car within that same price range or a bit more cheaper. And you can do this because it will help you save money in the long run until you're able and eligible enough to afford a car to where you won't have to lease it. Me, I never learned how to drive because of underneath certain circumstances that is bull, especially here in the state of Tennessee. And I am talking to somebody who's willing to teach me so I can get used to a vehicle, learn how to drive and everything. And this person is going to help me get my learner's permit, then help me go for my license. I am going to pay them for it because I want to be able to drive. So my thing is this, throughout January, I'm trying to find a little bit of work. That little bit of work, I'm going to put that money away. Even with what I had left over from my SSI check, put that away. In February, I probably won't be able to put nothing away with the SSI check because I do want to get a tooth cut out before too long. But the weeks leading up to that, afterwards, just put money away. The same thing with March, put money away. April, put money away. And in May, put money away if I feel like, okay, man, this might be decent enough, but, I may even want to wait till the earliest of June to make sure I got enough money for, 1, to get an airplane ticket, 2, put money down for a trailer at the most. But I also want to get a job lined up because I have never worked before a day in my life. I never really had a job. I was never able to really get a job or to do that here in Tennessee because of certain requirements that I just didn't meet, and also because of the education process as well. Tennessee, they depend on the education too much. They expect you to have a high school diploma, a college degree. Myself, I don't have those things. I shared with those. I showed you guys that. And because of that, the state where I'm going to, they don't care about that. They just want to know, okay, as long as you're willing to work, a hard worker, they will hire you and they will pay you. And I will, have to explain, this is my first job, tell them why, and be like, look, I want a chance because I'm finally getting the opportunity in my life to finally start over. It was supposed to be this year, but because of everything that's going on with this year, it's just not a good time for that. Next year, for me, and the summertime will be a fresh, brand new start for the first time in my entire life. And that's what I want. And I'm going to let the person know once they hire me, like, look, I want to work full time. I want to get as much overtime as I want to can because I'll be happy with a factory job or a plant job at the most. Even a warehousing job where I can make $563 to almost $850. And I know what I'm going to do because I learned from so many other people's mistakes, even from my own, to say, hey, okay, I'm going to pay my rent, get food, pay my phone, the money left over, I'm going to save that up. Then I'm going to keep saving. I do know I want to get a place close to my job where it's in walking distance until I'm eligible enough to get a car. And that's why I want to tell my boss, I want to make sure I want to get enough work as I can, because I do want to get a car of my own And what I'm going to get, I want to get a truck. Because where I'm moving to, you know, during the winter time, you don't want to get a car. It's not going to be the best. You do want to get a truck. You know, and if you have a truck, people will reach out to you for a job that involves loading and moving something. You know, no one's going to reach out to you if you have a car. They ain't going to do it. And I'm willing to live after about the age of 35 is to move into an apartment that's $500 a month, even though I can pay around that, you know, that $450, that $60 at the most. If not that, then I am willing to live in public, government housing when it comes to apartments as well, because I know what I can afford and what I cannot afford, and that's, stuff that I've learned. So, and this is also advice to people, man, because you can't be out worrying about other shit right now, and you got other responsibilities. You're going to have to sacrifice a lot of wants, a lot of needs, man, to make sure that if you have a kid, make sure your kid is good. Make sure you keep a roof over their head, food on the table, at least, and stop trying to waste money on other bullshit. You got to stop it, man, especially when you're trying to get underneath a price, man. Underneath a price. And that's one thing I learned. You got to stop trying to get stuff for underneath the price. Because if you want something that's good, you got to pay that price for it. If you can't pay it, then move on, man. Move on until you can afford it. People ain't got to be worrying about some other this little silly shit. One thing as well that I did learn throughout this as well, man, even with money being saved up around that time, I want to put that money towards getting me out of debt. I want to pay what I need to pay, and it's going to take some time, but it will be worth it in the end, because hopefully at the age of 40, I'll be out of a couple of debts. And you know what put me in some of them debts, man? With the wrong goddamn people that I thought I could trust, and them were the so-called fucking overseers that put me in that. I eventually, want to get out of bankruptcy, man. I'm not trying to stay in bankruptcy till the age of 65. But things are going to take time, and, these are things, that I've learned, which my advice to y'all, out there. Don't be going for something big, man. You got to go for it small, bro, because if you shoot for something big, you will end up missing. You like, man, I'm gonna shoot for something big. Soon as you shoot for something big, it could be gone, bro, and you ain't gonna be able to, run that ball, but only so far. So and my advice in life, man, is start out small, man. Aim for small. Don't be aiming for nothing big, man. I'm surprised I last the way I did out here, and me being able to still manage to keep a house that ain't worth shit over my head. And that house, man, it ain't worth keeping because there's so much work that needs to be done to it. The value of the house is only $1,000. That's why I got these people offering me to buy my house, because they know the work that needs done to it. I already know the value of the house because I had it looked into. There's so many things that have happened, and I got all that paperwork, and there is something wrong with the house. There is something wrong with the land. And it was built for very cheap labor as well. Because of this, the value property is only $1,000, and that's why it won't show up on Google Maps, because it's not worth nothing. So when I sell it to the bank or to the state, rather than giving me the $1,000, they're only going to give me $500 for the house, because they're going to board it up. They're going to have it sitting there for a while, and then they're going to tear it down, level it, and then they're going to rebuild the whole new foundation from the ground and the property itself from the ground up. So they need to be able to, they're going to be putting in a lot of money into that. Because they're going to be putting a lot of money into that, it will be on the value market, which means it will be on Google Maps, and somebody, who has money is going to be able to afford it. Put it this way, man, it's going to cost me $50,000 just to get the basement floor fixed. It's going to cost a quarter, if not almost to $1 million, just to refurnish the entire house. That's from gutting it all the way, not leaving nothing untouched, even putting in new support beams, everything that it takes to really, really build a house. It's all new, updated stuff, man, from 2020. Because that stuff that's in that house that is going to cause a fire one day is from the 60s, and none of it has been updated. None of it has been updated. I know this because that house was built in 1965 and didn't get finished within that neighborhood till 1969. I got the paperwork on that. I know what I'm talking about. So that's why, when you get a house, guys, man, if you're trying to shoot for a house, you really want to look into the house. And that's my advice to anybody. Yes, you may be doing so good, and then you say to yourself, you know what, I want a bigger place. My thing is this: look into the history of the land, look into the history of the property it sits on, look into the hidden damages that are going to be in the ground that may cause plumbing issues, snakes, spider infestation, rats infestation. Figure out, what there is to do about that. Look into who built the house, because a lot of these houses were built for cheap labor. Look into how much it's going to cost to getting it refurbished with the support beams, getting new walling in, new wiring, new electricity, new ceiling, new windows, new paint. Update some of the bricks if you need to do that, but make sure you got the finances for that, because you really want to definitely dig into the house, man, because there's going to be hidden things that you ain't going to see on the surface. That's why it's going to involve cutting into. And if you think that, man, this is going to be too much, and if you see something that, I'm looking at this X amount of dollars, don't even go for the house, because you will be losing money. And because of that, what a lot of people don't know when they fall into that type of trap, and if they wonder themselves, man, why am I paying so much for a house payment? Why am I paying so much for a mortgage payment? It's because the bank and the government knows, along with that state of that house and that property, it needs a lot of work and there are things wrong with it. That's why you paying so much for those payments every 2 weeks, almost every month at that. So if you want to buy a house, man, if you have the money to do that, and if you find that type of house, skip it, find something to where it's not going to need much work or hardly any work at all, because if you decide to shoot for a house that you want to work on, go for it. You ain't gonna make all your money back. You may make some back, but I'm letting you guys know right now, man, there's a lot of money lost in them type of houses, and they ain't worth it. They're not worth it, man. It will tear you apart. It will tear your family apart as well. Take it from me. I know, because I went through this. I'm still going through this, man. But a lot of those things, I'm not going to really worry about, as long as I'm able to keep a roof over my head for a month at a time. I'm good. I'm not going to take the money out to repair the house and fix it myself because I can't. I'm not eligible to. That's why when I give it to the state or the bank, they're going to have to do all that work. Even though I'm just going to receive $500 for it, but so be it. You know, 500, shit, better than nothing, man. That's going to help me get to where I need to be at anyways and make me more tortured towards my goal. That's why next year, early summer, might as well say late spring, early summer, I will be getting my very first fresh, brand new start in life, man. And I'm excited because I thought about this and I took a long thought. And let me tell you something, man. It is something that's needed. And there's nothing for me down here. There's not. I'm about to be 31 years old, man. By the time I hit 31, I would already be in Colombia for about 30 years because I've been in here now for 29 years. And I saw it when it was at its peak. And now I'm here where it's nothing more than a corpse. There's no money here at all. There's no future here in this state, let alone in this town. People that have moved here within the last 5 years, even within the last decade, but I'm shooting for the last 5 years, and even about 3 years prior, they are regretting moving here because they learned so fast of why this state is not a good state, why this town isn't a good town to stay at. And many different things have happened to these people to where they said, you know what, I regret moving here, but they can't leave because they are tied into so much that in order to move, you gotta really pay things off of money that you don't got. So these families, these people that moved here within the past 3 years, within the past 5 years, are going to be stuck here. You know, are going to be stuck here, and I really feel for them because I know what it feels like. And let me tell you guys something, man. You know, people have to move for so many different reasons. A lot of them for work reasons. A lot of them because they want, you know, cheaper living. But then they see, you know, what they had, what they truly had, and they left that because they moved backwards to garbage. Me, that's why, you know, come next year, you know, I am out of here, man. I've been here too long. It's time for me to leave. And I will get my first brand new start. I need to speak that into existence because I refuse to stay here any longer. I refuse to die here. I do not want to be buried here at all. And these people that are in this town are worth leaving. A good majority of them I'm not gonna fucking miss. A lot of people in this town can go fuck themselves. Because let me tell you guys something, man. Ain't not one shit fucking good really came for me in this town, bro. Because whatever good does come to this town throughout the years that I've seen it, it always destroyed it. This is a town that people that are not worth giving back to. I got angry at that because that's the honest to God truth. It really is. Some people I will miss, and a lot I won't. But understand, guys, man, for those that see this video, I now got to do what's best for me before it's too late. I understand that people get a late start in life, You know, some may get a quicker start in life than others. You know, my mom's, you know, I will do an update eventually with her. And to be honest, you know, yes, she is out where she's out of. You know, she's now really eligible to move. You know, still getting healed up, cleaned up now. I want to help her get another job somewhere. I don't want her working back at these factory jobs that work underneath GM, because the only people that work there are people that are fucking crackheads, and she don't need to be put back in that position. And I let it be known to everybody at that work, and I had that job reported because of that stuff to the authorities. Yeah, I did. I got that place shut down for a while. I made sure a lot of them people lost their jobs. And a lot of them were actually going there sick because a lot of them got tested positive for COVID. Now, I understand that may be the job she still has right now. There is a job still being held for her there. You don't want to go back there, but I understand, you know, she does want to work, and that's what will make her happy. I will let her do that. But people just need to understand, you know, I now got to do what's best for me, and, you know, definitely put myself first now. Because with her, you know, again, you know, she didn't get her license till the age of 50 years old. She was able to work till she was in her 50s. And now she's 60 years old, going on 61 early next year. So she didn't get a start till really almost late in her life. And, you know what I'm saying, trying to play catch up, and, you know, a lot of harsh realities, you know, really did end up hitting her in these past several months. Really, really bad, that made her get cleaned up. And, you know, when reality really, really, really hits you, you trust me, man, you're going to know, because your body's going to go through different pains and emotions with those pains, and you're going to start seeing the truth and things clearly, you know, once that happens. Once that happens. That's what happened with her. I'm glad she is back. I'm glad that she is going back to work soon. That's what she wants. I don't want her around those people though, but you know what, I did let it be known, you know, after what happened, that I don't like them, and that if I see them, something will happen. And I pray to God that I don't see them. I pray that I don't see them. But yes, you know, I am doing what's best for me, and, you know, I finally see now that, you know, why so many people that I knew, why they chose to move, because they saw this coming before I did. You know, they got out why they did. And I finally understand why they left. I finally understand it. You know, I wish I could have saw that sooner. But you know what? I didn't, but I see it now. And again, you know, we all move at different speeds in life. And, you know, I feel like at my age, which is about to be 31, you know, getting a late start in life, at least to me. Some people may say, no, man, that ain't really a late start. But, you know, I feel like, you know, if I had a better life, I feel like, you know, if I was kept as a ghetto foster child, that I would have had a very good education, because I would have went to the best schools. I would have went to a good university, not a college, a university. I would have been able to get a really good career, a car, and a house by now. Even as far as probably even had like a child or two and settled down, and, you know, made sure that, you know, they got a good education in the best for their early years and getting them prepared. And I feel like with a lot of these videos that I do on these channels that are kind of like my own visual diary of my thoughts, if I do have a child, man, you know, I need to be able to make sure they're not going to fall into the same mistakes I did. I need to make sure I'm able to, you know, make sure they don't fall into the same traps as I did, and make sure that they're able to get a good life, because I don't want them ending up like I was for so many years. And I want them to really get a good school, even if I have to sacrifice way so much just to be able to afford it, man. You know, I want my kids to get, you know, a real education in life, man, not what I did, because I really didn't receive an education in life. You know, as weird as that sounds, but it's the honest to God's truth. I was, you know, overlooked at a young age. Growing up, I was left out of a lot of stuff because of things, and I don't want my child to have to feel those emotions, you know, and go through that. So, you know, with me getting a brand new start, man, I'm glad and I'm happy. And with that being said, y'all, man, I'm out.